All right, everyone. Cards Against Humanity is getting better and better at marketing itself. Of course, a couple months ago, they had something where they purchased a little bit of land by the U.S.-Mexico border, and they're like, ha ha ha! Now Trump can't build his border wall. And millions of Trump fans were like actually really enraged, like constantly insulting them. Just the whole point. Number one, to market to anyone who doesn't like Trump, I guess. Number two, it's free name recognition. Number three, it's offensive. Being offensive is funny. And that's something that, if you look at this story, a lot of people don't seem to quite understand. You see, jokes are funny because they upset or disturb in many cases. That can be one of the points of humor. Some people don't get this and they think that makes you, I guess, a Nazi. No better example than with Cards Against Humanity issuing their Chosen People pack. They market it as the Jew pack, and then they have a little thing on the back that says, "Oh, did you know 100% of the writers for Cards Against Humanity are Jewish?" Oh, who would have guessed? A Jewish comedy writer, which is itself a pretty funny joke. The idea of Cards Against Humanity is to be stereotypical and crude and offensive. That's the whole point of the game, but they made the mistake of including the word Holocaust in one of these cards. So now they're under fire. Target and Walmart have pulled the pack, which is itself hysterically ironic. Yeah, these companies that profit off of child labor in the third world and slavery and, blood diamonds and all these things and cartels and political violence. Yeah, they're going to talk about morality. Yeah, see, there's a reason why I don't support any form of censorship by tech firms, because they do the same thing. It's pretty funny to me that they're complaining about an expansion pack. So, oh, this is anti-Semitic. Okay, so Cards Against Humanity, who else does it joke about? Whites, blacks, Hispanics, every nationality, every possible contraption of gender, every possible sexual orientation, literally everything, old age, young age, everything you can think of, religions, it jokes about. It's the whole point of the game. But oh no, this one sets them off and becomes offensive. These are the same people who were applauding the company for its Prongles thing a while back, and there was sort of like a political message about Trump, and then they were doing the border wall parcel thing. And honestly, when today's snowflakes a month ago were being anti-snowflakes and joking about how Trump's fans were off the wall because they were upset about, the border wall thing, they were actually right, because it's like, well, you could build your wall around it, you could use eminent domain. People are acting like it's the end of the world, like this is jeopardizing national sovereignty or something. It's just not the way that it works. The response was totally disproportionate, and it just sort of proves the goal of Cards Against Humanity, which is, hey, being offensive is funny, because some of these reactions were totally pure gold. But the reactions here are the same thing, and the same people now are on the flip side. They don't even realize it, I think. That's the whole point of it, is to be offensive. Now, I think that we need more people to be offensive more often, to fight back against censorship. One big part of anti-censorship is desensitizing. You need to desensitize people as much as possible against being overtly offended and render it to something humorous. And this is something that, I think Mel Brooks has alluded to this. Oh yeah, we're going to joke about Nazis and stuff. That would have been considered offensive, in the days of the producers. What are you talking about? Nazis being funny? Are you crazy? Oh yeah, well, it's a good way to actually disarm violent groups, is to make them into sort of a running joke. It's sort of it becomes something to mock. But you need free speech to do that, and you need people, they can be offended. But when they get to the point where they're offended to the point of vigilantism, as these people are, it sort of defeats the purpose. That's not free speech, number one, and it's very dangerous for a society when it goes down that road, I think, number two. It's very dangerous the way that we're going with the pro-censorship rhetoric that we hear from people that are essentially just agent provocateurs online. All they do is they nitpick. They're like the gossipy housewives of the Victorian era, talking about, anti-tobacco or anti-prohibition and temperance movement, eugenics and stuff. Yeah, that was such a wonderful time. Yeah, you do realize that was spawned essentially by a bunch of holier-than-thou housewife moralists working alongside evangelicals. By the way, can you name the two groups that are most likely to be offended by the Chosen People pack here? Evangelicals, same as maybe the pre-eugenics sort of temperance lead up. There's one. And the sort of progressivist housewives club. Oh, yeah, 2 for 2. Now, there's nothing worrying about the direction in which we're going, is there, America? I think that there is. It's becoming problematic because it stamps out like productivity. But I mean, for Cards Against Humanity, because of the way they market themselves, because of the explicitly offensive nature of what they do, they won't have a problem with this because they don't really, I don't think they care if Walmart and Target take down one expansion pack because they're just going to sell it on their own site and make money hand over fist because now people who didn't know Cards Against Humanity existed, now they certainly know. At this point, certainly they're aware of its existence. Maybe they'll check it out for themselves. It's sort of like Harry Potter. How many book sales were there of Harry Potter that were driven by people coming into school and saying, well, they should ban this book because it mentions witchcraft and these characters kissed or something like that. Or Pokemon. I can remember. I think it was pointed out in the Warski stream last night, actually, that Pokemon in the Bush era, V pointed this out, was something that was considered anti-Christian. It was considered anti-American in many ways. How many sales of it do you think were the result of people basically rebelling against authority? And when the authorities, when the establishment says anything offensive is wrong, you can't be offensive, you can't criticize, insert group here, and, unless we tell you that it's allowed, what do you think's going to happen with the next generation? Why do you think Generation Z is more conservative than the millennials? I wonder why. Is it because they're rebelling against their Gen X parents? Yeah, I think so. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Or in some cases, older millennial parents, if they had a child when they were, 16 or something, maybe you got older millennial parents for Generation Z in some cases. Yeah, definitely. So I support Cards Against Humanity, but the thing is, I had no problem with their border parcel purchase or the Prongles thing. When they say, well, Trump is basically an ass, yeah, they're trying to be offensive to Trump fans. It's the whole fucking point. It's satire. It's meant to be funny. Just, get over it a little bit. People need to stop being morals. Have a good time. Calm down. Let's all sort of, shake hands and agree that it's funny to offend other people. And you can sort of have a frenemy thing going on, too. Like, people you totally disagree with, but you got to admit, well, that was a good insult, and then you make one. It's funny. It's hilarious. It's the way the thing should work. It's also the way comedy should work. Unfortunately, that's censorship. Once the comedians get gone after more, you could be sure censorship falls apart because they're very good at roasting people for a reason, because they make their living doing that in many cases. It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny to see some of the all hell break loose. That's about all. Peace out.